Hi everybody, this is Sheila Aliens. You can skip ahead to the 3-minute mark to get past my intro. So we're gonna go ahead and gloss over the fact that I haven't uploaded in probably a year and jump right into what I want to show you today. This is something I tested by posting it to Twitter, and it's already gotten much more interaction and traction than any normal post. So I can tell it's something people want to know more about, they want to share the information, and they're concerned about it. One of the big problems being caused by COVID and the lockdown is the school systems are a mess right now. Some counties, states, districts, they're all doing something different. Some are going back to class, some aren't. This is aside from all that. This is about a curriculum that they're trying to introduce in Peoria, Arizona School District called American Studies. And it's actually a curriculum that hasn't even been developed yet they want to go ahead and get it approved. And if it's anything like the other American studies and the ethnic studies that have been introduced in like California, where I live, or New York, Buffalo School District, it is anti-American, anti-white, and very racist, divisive, horrible stuff. It's what's known as critical race theory. Look into it if you haven't heard about it, but Trump recently outlawed it. He banned it from our federal institutions after they were making people go to mandatory white privilege training at our government facilities. And one guy stood up and said something about it. And Trump heard him and he banned it. But he didn't ban it in the schools, which is more important because that's where their minds get shaped. The California Ethnic Studies model curriculum is a completely racist document, to say the least. I'd have to make another video about that. Ridiculous. Not to mention it hides within that stuff things like gender assignment. Don't assign gender to a baby at birth. That's wrong to do. It tucks all these ideology, horrible ideas in there. Nutcase stuff. Race is a social construct, that kind of stuff. Like absurd. So these people in Peoria, the citizens, the parents, have showed up to the school district board meeting on December 10th, and they voiced their concern over this proposed curriculum that they're voting on. So we're just going to take a listen to a few of these people because I thought they made really good points. The first lady is the wife of a police officer, and she has 2 children. I think one was in 8th grade and one is a high school senior, who have always had friends of all races. But with this new rhetoric that's been shoved down everybody's throat and down the school children's throats over the past few years, it has actually caused her kids' friends to stop talking to her kids because their dad is a cop and because they're white. So let's take a listen to her.
I didn't come prepared with statistics or anything. I'm just basically coming from a parent and my own personal experience as a parent. I'm the mother of a high school senior and an 8th grade son. And my fear is this type of curriculum will actually breed more racism and more divide in our country rather than unity. It's saddened me how I have witnessed my own children lose friendships because their friends make assumptions about them. They tell them they are privileged because they're white, or they are bad people because their dad is a police officer. So many of my kids' closest and best friends who were basically like family to us and welcomed in our own home have now totally disregarded my own children as the people that they know they are, the years that they've spent with them, just based on all the rhetoric that's going around. So I fear that this is actually taking a step backward because I'd rather empower people in minority groups to rise above and not do anything that's going to create a victim mentality that if you're born a certain way, that you're now not afforded the same options in our country that everyone else is. Because I think we live in a country where if you put forth the effort, there's opportunities out there for everyone. So that's just, as a parent, what I'm noticing, and it's very sad.
Real quickly, I'm Heather's father-in-law. Emmett Brooks is my grandson. So he's one of 8 grandkids that I have in the system. All right. So I'm here to talk about this, the American Studies curriculum. The recent events have brought to light the failure of our education system. And we should have taken this off earlier. The young people we witnessed rioting and looting in some of our largest cities came out of an education system that had taught them to hate America. I think that's really sad. The source of the hatred can be traced directly to the emphasis on identity culture, which separates us into special interest groups. Each group is isolated from the other by mistrust stemming from perceived grievances and artificial cultural barriers. The class being proposed to this body, known as American Studies, is one that continues the misguided methods of emphasizing the negative differences between American citizens. This country is not a country of racism or sexism or any kind of ism. We are tired of the continual drumbeat of our educational system has used the program of our kids to program our kids into thinking that America is a country of hate and division. It is not. Please vote no on adding this misguided curriculum into our schools, and let's stop sacrificing our children on the altar of political correctness. Thank you.
Linda Busam.
Hello, my name is Linda Busam, and I want to thank the governing school board for letting me speak today. I grew up on welfare in the Chicago's projects during the 1960s. I faced situations that children should have never even seen before. And yet I feel blessed. I've had these experiences because I've gained determination, wisdom, and grit by refusing to be defeated. This is a crucible called life, and it's the American dream to become everything you can be or not. In 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Boy, we come a long way from those precious words of wisdom. Before the governing school board today is a vote for a new curriculum that appears well-intentioned, appealing, even empathetic, but in actuality, it further divides us. When you peel back the layers of this onion, you will see that it promotes taking from one group in order to compensate a second group, to correct injustices caused by a third group who mistreated a fourth group by an earlier point in history. It's absurd. Not only does it not promote justice, it does the opposite. It promotes racism. And you cannot cure racism with more racism. This systemic racism and white privilege is ideology and politics. Yet the National Education Association feels it's their duty to indoctrinate our children and further strip parents of their rights to teach their children their values and their morals. They want to teach a revisionist American history that teaches victimhood, entitlement, and the loathing for our country. We do not want or need this curriculum in our Peoria schools. We need to find ways that unite us. Focus on good character. Focus on shared values. Focus on being an upstanding individual who has big dreams and goals. If our goal is to truly heal relationships, then let's talk about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Our common values like respect, honesty, and trustworthiness. That's what unites people. I pray that the Peoria Governing School Board uses great wisdom and votes no on this new curriculum. Thank you.
And thank you to everybody for taking the time and using this line item for what it's for, which is expressing your comments, concerns, and having questions of the board and the district. So really appreciate that. That said, we can move on to board comment and questions regarding this line item. Ms. Stone?
Oh, I have a lot. First off, I want to ask the relationship and differences between this curriculum and the 1619 project curriculum.
So, Dr. Bell?
I apologize. I was having a conversation about the dais. Could you repeat that, please?
I would like to know the correlation and differences between this curriculum and the Project 1619 curriculum.
I'm going to ask Jen Mundy to answer that question for us. Jen is our social sciences curriculum content expert. Thank you, Jen.
Good evening, members of the board. I am familiar with the 1619 project, not in depth. I've had conversations with the ADE about it. It's recommended that it be used as a resource to examine a perspective, not as a curriculum, but as one resource to look at perspectives, because our new standards are all about multiple perspectives, looking at diversity, looking at different people's experiences. So this course, from what I've seen, the resources that Alexa and the people that she worked with to develop this and kind of brainstorm it, and I know the whole course hasn't been developed, I didn't even see the 1619 project in there as a resource when they were looking at case studies. So I didn't see it in there. So there is no correlation directly between the 1619 project and this course.
I'm not going to approve something I haven't. Our parents, what is this transparency? Why have our parents not seen this? Why has this not been in the lobby like our English laws?
Mrs. Doan, I'd like to answer that. We take course proposals from our schools, bring the concept to the governing board for approval, and then write curriculum with teacher teams, the teacher who's going to teach this course, and with our content specialist. It's not necessarily an adoption, a textbook adoption, which is when you see materials out in lobbies as required by our governing board policy. Tonight, we're asking the governing board to approve the concept. Then we go to work and engage teachers and others in writing curriculum content.
So how do we know what's going to be in there? Are they going to teach that this country was founded to preserve slavery?
No, I don't think we are looking for any kind of white ethnocentric curriculum. It's just simply a multiple perspectives from diverse viewpoints. That's the state standard.
So, I mean, this kind of teaching throughout our country is why our cities are burning down. It is, and it causes very much division among people that were once friends. And a victim mentality and identity politics are the last thing our kids need when they're trying to study English and math and real history that has been documented. Perspectives may be all good and well in college and things like that, but our students need a basic understanding and good understanding of where we came from. How are we coming on constitutional classes? Is that in the works?
We don't have a class named the Constitution. We do have that in our American history course.
Yeah, I studied that, and I think that's definitely recommended for us.
President
There.
Sandoval, may
Yes,
I
ma'am.
ask Ms. Doan a question real quick?
Sure.
For clarity? You asked for, you stated victim, that victimization is being taught. Where did you see that? Because I am not finding it. Help me understand where you saw that or where you read it.
All right. This course will help to cultivate respect and historical empathy for experiences, struggles, and achievements of a variety of American identities, including African Americans, Asian Americans, you read the whole list, and all you do is hear these groups talk about being bullied, victim, not being seen, not being heard, and it's all talking about identity politics.
So just for clarity, you don't actually see the word victimization, but you're interpreting it in fear of it being presented that way. Is that correct?
in fear of?
Well, I'm just trying to understand where you saw the word victimization so that I could follow along.
Why would I need to see the word?
Well, I'm just seeing if you're making an assumption.
It's not an assumption. It is a group that is very vocal. All these groups are very vocal about the whole thing. And I agree there are different viewpoints. But I don't think this needs to be taught in our high schools.
Okay.
And I don't want the door opened for, okay, if you look at psychology, the first thing we teach a person that has been attacked is you are not a victim, you are a survivor, you are strong. That has been reversed in today's society. We're touting this whole thing about how everyone in their own way is some kind of victim. And this reduces the impetus to pick yourself up and go on, as we all must when things happen to us.
So would you reconsider if you could verify that the verbiage and the teachings were not victimizations, actual historical, factual data that groups of people experienced?
I would think about this if I could see the curriculum.
Okay.
I want to know what they're teaching. And this, the phrase at the bottom where it says, as they move chronologically from 1492 to contemporary America, was a red flag to me because of the teachings that have started that we were founded on slavery. When slavery was endemic across the world, and it was not a founding purpose of this nation. It was, we actually moved pretty quickly to get rid of it. And of course, there were some groups that didn't, but they lost, right? I don't like this. I don't like immersing in rich discussion of current events. I believe that belongs with the family. I do. And I believe that we already are in a lot of areas teaching civic engagement and community building. I don't think this is necessary to add to that. And the celebration of our nation's development and its rich diversity, that's wonderful. But I'd have to see how that was being done, because I've seen it done to the detriment of different groups. And there's no need to put down one group to lift another. And I just...
I appreciate you answering my question, and that is valid. Nobody should feel like they're stepping on somebody to get ahead. But to go back to my original question, there's no word verbiage, so on the word victimization throughout when Miss...
That's what I'm saying about transparency. How do we know what this is going to be?
Okay.
It's put in front of us to vote for, and we don't know what this is going to be.
Valid point.
Ms. Down, any further comments, questions?
I'll tell you, to be perfectly honest, I think it is a door to the wrong kind of teaching. And personally, I will not approve of it. I believe that it is an affrontment. And I believe that it is harmful to our students and our families.
Thank
Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody's passion this evening. I wanted to say thank you for Ms. Dunham for being here. You were my daughter's favorite teacher of all time. But in trying to have us approve something that is a concept and understanding the process now that we approve a concept, it goes to have the curriculum designed. I'm not as comfortable with that, so unless I know what the curriculum is going to say, I'm not willing to approve it. But thank you.
Down.
President.
I move.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't have
That
more
we approve 12.2, which is the curriculum and instruction new course change proposal as presented.
President Sandoval, I second.
Ms. Contra, we have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Ceja Martinez. Board members, please cast your votes.
President Sandoval,
Yes, ma'am.
I've had some issues with my computer. I'm logging back on, so can we do a voice vote?
Absolutely, yep. Ms. Contra, can you run us through a voice vote, please?
Yes. Mrs. Pingarelli?
Nay.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Absolutely not.
Mrs. Ceja Martinez?
Yay.
Mrs. Underhill?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. Thank you, board members.
So as you can see, the motion was passed to approve the course, and so now the curriculum will be developed. And if they are going to base it off of the curriculum that's been developed in New York and California, like most smaller states do, then it's going to be a problem. Because California, as I mentioned, their ethnic studies is completely racist to everybody. It's actually on its third draft right now. It has to get approved, but they had to remove a lot of horrible stuff that they had in there. And it's amazing that it even went up for approval to begin with the stuff that had been in it the first time. It's now on its third draft. They tried to completely exclude the Jewish people, by the way. They call the Jewish people white people with privilege within those documents. And it does teach white privilege, and it's very anti-police officer, very anti-police officer. I searched through for the word police in the New York curriculum, and it was only ever followed, the word police was only ever followed by the word brutality. Nothing positive about police, nothing else about police, always followed by the word brutality. It's horrible. And that there's 20-something instances of that within the document I had searched. We don't want to teach this to our kids. So check out what's going on at your local school district's board meetings. See if they're voting or discussing on this type of stuff. And see what they're going to be teaching your kids if you have kids in the school system. It's really important. I'm paying attention to this because I have an 18-month-old daughter who I am concerned about the fact that we live in California. I don't want them teaching any of this stuff to her. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, everybody. Meow.